Hey guys, what's going on? It's Daniel from Tech Tuning, and today on the Celica we're going to be working on the rear brake system. Today I'm going to be replacing my rear brake pads, the rear rotor, and the rear brake lines. Down the roadways, I'd like to make a video where I show how to replace all the hardware and the parking brake shoes for a GTS model, but at the moment I'm still waiting for the parts to come in for that, so I'm going to end up doing it in 2 jobs. It's not ideal for my time, but it's going to be easier, and it might make it a little easier for when you guys are watching a video if you need one or the other. So today we're going to be jumping into doing the brake job, so let's get right to it. So all I did was go through and just spray everything with WD-40. That way it's all going to be a little bit easier to get broken loose, and I'm just going to let that soak for a few minutes. The main tools that you're going to need for working on the rear caliper and brake system is going to be a 14mm wrench, a 12mm wrench, and likely the same for sockets. You'll also need a set of line wrenches when you're taking off the brake line, if that's included in what you're servicing. But the 14 is going to be for the bolts that hold the caliper to the hub. The 12 is going to be for the one caliper pin that you use to flip it up. Like that to remove your top of your caliper. Now you're going to want to take your 14 to remove the bracket. So what you'll notice on these rear caliper bracket bolts is that the 14 is really close to that rear part of the hub and the strut. So it's going to be pretty tough to get a ratchet in there. It's most likely going to be a wrench that you'll have to use to fit in between the space. So I'll just be careful that you make sure not to strip the bolt. Alright, so now that we have the caliper bracket, we can take out the old pads. And if your new pads came with new shims, you can remove these because we'll be putting the new ones on anyway. And now is going to be a good time to hose this down with some brake cleaner and either paint it or just clean it up if you wanted to. So after thoroughly hosing down everything with WD-40 in all of the lug nut holes and hitting it with a rubber mallet, not a metal mallet, a rubber one, just in case we need this for anything. It's come a little loose, so we can just slip it off. And we can put this to the side for the time being. So now that we're here and we have everything apart, we have already taken the rotor off, we've taken the caliper and all the pads off, and I have the caliper just set aside. We're going to worry about the brake lines a little bit later on in the project. While you're here though, at this point with the rotor off, it's a good time to try and clean up this mating surface on your rear hub, and if you wanted to, apply a little bit anti-seize for when you put the new caliper on, the new rotor on, so that it doesn't get stuck to it in the future. We can open up our new rotor, and we're going to hose this down with brake fluid to take off the oil it has to prevent it from flash rusting. So with the new rotor, you want to make sure you line up the little rubber plug for your adjustment slot with the little open slot on your hub. That way, if you ever have to adjust your parking brake down the road, you can do that. And what we're going to do is slip it on, make sure it's nice and snug. And the next thing I would recommend doing, if you have lug nuts that are long enough, would be threading them on so that it just holds your rotor centered and in place. They don't have to be tight, just snug so that it doesn't move. And now we can take our new rear brake pads, and what we're going to do is put on all of the shims for the pad, which came in this bag here. I have the Bosch rear brake pads, which are just like an OEM style replacement. So all said and done, this is what the rear brake pad shims should look like when they are put on the caliper. I'm gonna throw a little bit more grease onto the outsides of them, and then we will put the brake shoes in. Okay, after a long and hard fought battle with this, because this was honestly the hardest brake pad I've ever had to install, this is what it should look like. So the two shims, hope this is visible. The two shims in the front should be pinched up, holding the brake pad in. The two shims in the front should be pinched up, holding the brake pad in like this. This is the view from the top. Make sure you replicate it this way. So the rear pad like this. Like I said, the little spring should be compressed against it. This is the overall view. Those should be snug in place. We have our new pads in with grease. And at this point, the next step for us is going to be working with the brake lines. So what we're looking at here is our factory brake caliper, and there's two lines. There's one rubber line, which goes from a hard line to the caliper. And if we move this out of the way, you see another rubber line, which goes from a hard line under the car to the hard line that sits on the rear trailing arm. I already sprayed these with WD-40, and all you need to take those off is a line wrench, but you want to be super careful because they're really soft metal. So you'll use a line wrench and we'll break free the locking parts on there, if you can see it. Break those free on both ends, and we'll be replacing them with the stainless steel braided ones that I got from Goodridge. Alright, so I managed to get that last hard line loose, and I got the clips out, so we'll take out the last soft line. And now all I have to do is compare the soft line lengths to the new steel braided ones, match them up, and start putting things back in. So here I have the two new Goodridge ones, and now what we have to do is we have to transfer these little C-clip retainers that hold the line in place on the bracket onto the new Goodridge ones, and then we can start installing the Goodridge ones back onto the car. So I have the one stainless steel braided line in, which goes from the chassis to the first hard line. And in order to get the second one on, which goes to the caliper, first you have to screw it into the caliper, and you'll want that fully tightened on before you put it on to here, because the threads for the caliper are not loose, so it has to be, basically it just has to be connected to the caliper before you can connect it to the hard line. So now that the lines are back on and the caliper is back in position, there's only 2 more things you have to do before you can fully put it back together, which is going to be pushing the piston back into the caliper. If you have a piston press, you can use that. They're usually pretty cheap, only about $5. And then you're just going to want to put some more brake lubricant on the back of the pad that the piston will press against.
Initial D. Initial D!
Yo, what's up guys? If you made it this far to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. I hope the tutorial was helpful for you guys and it showed you how to do the brakes on your car. I'm going to be doing a second video where we're going to be doing the front brakes as well, so if you guys are interested, stay tuned to see that one. And yeah, thank you guys again so much for watching. I hope you liked it, and let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.